Let's do this.
We are live. All right. Welcome to Two Queens and Crystal Things, the podcast where we are on some manifest your life.
Come on now.
Shift your mind.
Because it's motherfucking time.
And raise the consciousness type of shit.
I mean, we here for all of us. All of us. You, me, we, he, be, me.
All of us. I am Christy.
And I am Mia. And you can consider us your spiritual girlfriends for the next hour.
Hey, Queen.
Oh, so, huh, girl. So last week, we discussed the power of choice. So the power of choice, basically what we discussed is how much you have control over yourself, your environment, your body, and reaction. So the power of choice plays such a big role in the relationships that we form, your jobs that you keep, the way we treat our temples, our bodies. It's basically central to every aspect of our lives. Yeah. So we chose to be, which means you choose, right, to be here on this earth at this time for a reason. And we are choosing every single day how it is that our life plays out. Yep. So it was a good conversation. If you haven't listened to it, it was really good. And, you know, we always love hearing people's feedback. So what you got for today, Chrissy?
Okay, so today's episode is about honoring thyself.
Honor thyself.
Yes. Honoring thyself. Yes, yes. And, you know, we've talked about self-love before. So this is kind of like a part 2 to self-love. But today what we're going to speak about, we're speaking about how to honor thyself through works of self-love. And so self-love, you guys know I like definitions just because I want people to be clear what definition we are using to basically describe what we're talking about. So self-love is defined as love of self or regard for one's own happiness or advantage, and has been conceptualized both as a basic necessity to human life.
For facts.
Right. And then in honoring yourself, you set a high regard for your own well-being and happiness while not sacrificing your well-being to please others. Did you hear that in the back?
I heard that.
So, so I like to think that when you honor yourself, when you get to that point where you are making the choice to honor yourself, because again, everything is a choice.
Look, I'm like back to power of choice.
Right. You settle, you end up refusing to settle for less. You no longer compromise. Mm-hmm. You no longer compromise for anything less than you deserve. And so I want to be sure that I do say this, but, self-care or finding ways to honor yourself is going to look different for everyone.
So I think of... honestly, and I know we've talked about this before, but I'm more that because people need to hear things a few times before it clicks in. Mm-hmm. I think that the way that we love on ourselves and the way that we treat ourselves informs so much of how we live our lives and the people that we allow around us. So to honor yourself, it's not like we're saying honor yourself like that you're above other people. Right. It's just honor yourself, like period. Hard stop. Like there's nothing else to say. Yep. Honor yourself and choose you first every time. Mm-hmm. And then when you're loving on yourself and feeling good, there's certain things. When you love yourself, there's things that you would not let in your life that when you look back on your life, when you do get to the point where you're like, I whole love myself. I'm kind of that bitch.
I know who I
am. This is kind of the jam right here. Mm-hmm. And when you look back, you're like, oh, when I made those decisions in my life, I didn't know who I was. I didn't love myself because I didn't know fully who I was yet. Yep. But when you love yourself, you're like, oh, I get that. That was just part of my plight, my plan, my healing, my purpose, and my way. Yeah. So I love self-love because I honestly think it's the gateway to empowering yourself. Right. It's the gateway to opening up your spiritual journey. When we are at our worst and know nothing about ourselves and we're trying to figure out who the hell we are, there's the little peak of we love ourselves comes out and you start asking questions. I think self-love is the genesis for a lot of our spiritual journeys. Just because there's something in you that says, you forgot I am.
Right.
And I love you.
It's funny because I did a healing session the other day, and when I do my sessions, messages come through as we were talking about earlier. But one of the things that I was told to share with my client was the way that we think and treat ourselves. Mm-hmm. Our outer life is a reflection of that.
All day.
So it's like you want to get to a point, like if you want to attract abundance in your life, or if you want to attract like a wonderful, setting environment around you, you have to, everything starts with you. That's the thing. Everything starts with you. Everything starts with you. Okay, so topics that we're going to discuss. So first of all, let's talk about ways to honor yourself.
Okay, all right, I'm going to put a hard question out there.
Oh, Lord. Her questions are hard.
No, but I was thinking about this because this is, I think, a great example of honoring yourself. Have you ever left or stopped dealing with somebody that you were fully in love with because you knew that they weren't good for you? Even though you were in love. See, yeah, look, I wish y'all could see her face. We definitely have to start being recording because facts, because that's a way, I think that is one of the ultimate ways of honoring and loving yourself when you are completely in love with somebody, but you know full and wholly that this person is just not for you at this time in your life, and you choose you, baby. That's how you honor ourselves. So I think that the overall in general, when we have to put ourselves against, if it's like I have to choose you or me, and oftentimes, real talk, we have a lot of those times in our life where we're like, okay, do I choose me or do I choose you? And oftentimes we choose other people. But not because it's like, I don't love myself. We choose it under the auspices of I love this person and I'm sacrificing for them and et cetera, et cetera. But when you are honoring yourself, you're making decisions based on what's best for you at that time. Period, point blank. I said what I said. I don't know.
And she meant what she said.
And I meant what I said.
So
what do you think? But to answer the question, I have done that. Where I've left somebody that I was completely and surely in love with, and it hurts Jesus.
I mean, I've left someone
I just
that
knew
I
better.
Loved, really
but
loved.
I stayed going.
Yeah, I have left. So I guess the circumstance, depends on the circumstance. But I do think that outside of that, there are other ways that you can honor yourself. But that Absolutely. Is huge. That is a huge test.
I was just giving an example, because this is something I know that we deal with. A lot of people deal with. But I love this person.
Yeah.
But when I'm with this person, I'm not my highest and best self. And when you choose you, that's an honor of yourself. But there's a lot of ways to honor yourself. I was just giving an example.
So a way that I think you can honor yourself is talking to and about yourself with love.
True that. Facts.
So a client I had today, one of the messages that I gave her is to be very aware of how she thinks of herself and how she speaks to herself, and to be gentle and to be kind, and to make sure that you're talking to yourself with love. Because I think a lot of times, I've done it. We've done it.
No, I do it. If I do something stupid, if I drop something, I'm like, fucking idiot. You know what I mean? I've caught myself where I'm like, why do I talk to myself like that? I wouldn't even talk to somebody I don't like.
Think about how you would, if you had a child, think about how you would talk to your child.
Yes.
You wouldn't talk to them that way. Or even if you heard them speak that way, don't you ever...
Don't talk...
Right. But then we turn around and we're like, oh, you're so stupid. I can't believe you.
I was just about to say that. I've heard Jay say that when she made him say, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I'm like, oh my God, what are you saying? No. But... damn, realization that stuff like that it seeps out. It's so easy. I know I have definitely said that out loud to myself, but I'm thinking I'm not internalized it, but this is literally words that are coming out of your mouth. And I always talk about anything that starts with I am.
Right.
You're making a declaration of what you believe you to be. So I'm sensitive when I hear somebody else say it. If I heard you say it, I'm like, oh, Christie. If I heard my daughter say it, it freaks me. It'll really freak me out, and I'm like, it's a whole conversation after that. But it's a little bit more difficult to hear yourself when you're saying these type of things,
right?
And you might be just joking, like, oh, I'm such a fucking idiot. I'm so stupid. I can't. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's real. Be very mindful of how you speak about yourself. And you would think that's not even something you would have to say. But it's
because
facts.
You're listening.
What?
You're listening.
They're like, oh, that's what we are? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to be dumb. And I mean, there are times I catch myself. I'll be in a meeting and I'll say something. It's like, Christian, why you say it that way? Or, I'll send out an email and then I hit and I'm just like, oh, well.
It's out now.
I'm sure someone's going to say something. But, I think it's important to recognize that you do it. Mm-hmm. And then you pull yourself back and say, okay.
That's true. The awareness of it. But once you realize this is what you do, when you hear yourself say it, you're like, oh, wait, hold on. No. But it's about becoming aware of the way that you speak to yourself. Another way, like just to kind of honor yourself, is giving yourself space to heal.
This was huge.
Sis.
This was huge. Self-care doesn't just deal with going to the spa and getting a massage and getting your nails done and getting your hair done and primping and no. I mean, it also deals with things that are internal, like your internal and mental health, your spiritual health.
We were just, okay, I'm about to share probably a little too much, but it's not too bad. We were just talking about before we got on about, kind of being at home after you've had an edible.
Oh, yeah.
Have partaken in the cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Just
and the goodies. What's this? Is this bread?
Yes, bread. Okay. And we're sitting kind of chilling, and you have these moments where you're just like, I'm really enjoying myself by myself in my space. But having an opportunity, creating those opportunities where you're just like, I actually really enjoy being by myself, one. And two, being aware of the fact that there's some healing that needs to take place. Yeah. And so you need to give yourself space. So sometimes, that can mean, like, I'm not, like, I've done this, and we've talked about this before, Christy, like, when I know that I'm not, there's something going on with me, or I'm healing, or I need to sit my butt down and be silent, mm-hmm. I won't take any appointments. Any healing appointments. I won't do any readings.
No, that makes sense. Like,
because I'm just like, good. Okay. But that's honoring myself, though, and honoring the fact that what I'm doing is important enough. Right, exactly. And I don't want to push myself. And so if I'm pushing myself and not being my best me when I show up, that means that I'm not serving and walking in my purpose and giving people, what they need. So
I'm the same way. Like, if I'm in
real talk, if I'm not going to force it. I can't, But that's me honoring myself and knowing that I'm not ready to give of my best self. And sometimes it's difficult for people to do that because you think about she is over here eating this bread, like she hasn't had a carb since she was 19 years old. Oh my God. It's like, why is it tasting? Why?
It's like crack.
So, but I think that's, just giving yourself, having the awareness when you need some space for yourself to heal. And when I feel like we talked about this maybe even in the last episode, it's just like, even in relationships when you are kind of breaking up with someone, and the theory that you're like, okay, well, let me just hurry up and put somebody else in their place so I don't have to think about it. That's not giving yourself space to heal, because the most important relationship that you have is with you. That. Cheers. Definitely been there, done that. Baby, waiting in the wings. Like, what? I set it up before I even do the breakup, so I'm ready. Like, no, girl, that's terrible. That's terrible.
I think I've had a boyfriend non-stop since I was in kindergarten.
Real facts? Actual factuals? I literally had, when I was going through this divorce, y'all know I'm single, and she had to cut herself. She had to cut herself off because it's just like I need to figure out what the hell is going on, because that was the realization that I had, that ever since I had the concept of a boyfriend, I've never not had a boyfriend or a husband. And I was just like, what are you doing? Sit down. Like, do you think you're that terrible of a person that you can't just be with yourself for a minute? Yeah. So it's, damn, I'm coming up. What year is this? 21?
Well, after I'm coming this relationship, I'm gonna be a monk.
It's been a couple, but but I'm learning so much about myself And I'm like, if I'm keeping it real, I'm actually a little nervous. Like,
That's huge, though. That's a huge change.
I'm like, no, major change. I've lived with boyfriends. I've been married twice. Lived like I'm was very comfortable being the partner. You know, you know what I mean. Like now, you know, Chrissy knows. Like I love being at home, in my home by myself. If my daughter's at her dad's house, or
I will admit, I like sleeping by myself, but I also like having the option if I want to sleep with.
See, I like the option. I don't see that's okay. So this is the issue.
Because I told you, I do like my space. I do like
she
my
does.
space.
Christy likes her space. Like no, but okay. So sidebar conversation. We talked about sleeping with somebody. Like I'm like no for real. I'm so scared. I don't know if I will ever be comfortable having to sleep in the same bed with somebody every night.
Right.
Like the thought of that makes me feel like that's fucking prison. I want the option. It's like, okay, all right, hey boo, come on, like, you know, I could be around you for a week, 2 weeks.
Remember, you have the power of choice.
The power, exactly. And that's why, you know, this might be an interesting journey for me because I'm so comfortable with the fact that any relationship that I'm in, I don't have to fit a box. It doesn't have to be like, oh, we have to do it this way because this is what people expect of us. I'm so comfortable with it. I don't give a F what everybody's doing. This is what I need for, you know, me. This is what fulfill me. What do you need? Are you on the same page? Oh, we on the same page. Well, sure, we can do this. But I don't know how Chris, like the thought of, okay, oh, this sounds so bad. But
say it.
Like washing men's clothes again.
Oh.
Like every day. Like
I don't know if I washed. No, they washed their own.
No, I've always washed my man's
clothes.
Well,
sometimes I would.
Like, no, always. And so now, I don't...
They wouldn't wash yours?
I will say, my ex-husband, Jay's dad, he would, when he did wash clothes, he would wash, he would wash my clothes. And
really?
One time, like, seriously, I had, this is so funny, you guys, this is way too much TMI, but I have these white cream pants that I loved, and my period came early, and so we were at home when it happened. I was like, oh my god. So I went and I got this, you know, blood and, you know, on my pants, and so I took them off and changed clothes and got myself together. And the next day I walked downstairs in the basement, and he had washed them, spot cleaned the spot. Aww. And had them hanging because, you know, they're like, you know, they're, you know, clothes you can't like launder, you know, put in the washing machine, whatever. And I was like,
they're fancy clothes.
But it kind of shocked me. But I don't like doing laundry. Is my point. But I used to do his laundry all the time. All my ass, whatever. I cleaned plenty of ball smelling ass gym shorts. Okay, thank you. So he'll be all right. But I did appreciate it. But my point is now, like, it's just me and my daughter. I don't really like doing her laundry. Right. I don't even really like doing laundry. And so the thought of having to do somebody else's, like a man's laundry again.
You'd be like, you do yours, I do mine.
Like, makes me, like, that gives me heart palpitations. And so I don't like being hot at night. So I'll have the ceiling fan or the air conditioner on in my bedroom or a window crack in winter because I got that good heat, y'all. This heat is because I don't like being hot. And then what if somebody like it's
I don't mind it being hot. I just get naked.
Girl, no. I'll be butterball naked, spread eagle on top of the sheet and the cover. I like to get real cold. Ooh. And then get under the cover. Mm-hmm. And then you like kind of like trying to get that body heat, and then I fall out.
You should see her.
I know. I'm
her
like
her little shake.
Real talk. I guarantee you, if somebody listening to this going, that's what I'm talking about. See, for real, seriously, I like to get real cold and then get under the cover, and it makes me go to sleep really fast. But choosing you, prioritizing yourself, is a good is a good way to honor yourself, to love on yourself.
So I would say giving yourself a break from self-judgment.
Girl, again, how you talk about yourself.
Right, like just say, you know what? today I'm gonna be cool with me. You know, I'm not gonna. You know how some days someone gets on your nerves, and you're like, you know what, I'm about to give them hell today. Mm-hmm. You can. I mean, it's the same thing with yourself. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be cool today.
I'm gonna let you live today.
Right, I'm gonna give you some grace. I'm gonna give you some grace. I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna give you some grace. You're gonna go ahead.
Myself, I'm gonna give myself some grace. We're gonna work this out.
But give yourself a break. I mean, just like we talked about how we talk to ourselves and the way that we think of ourselves. Girl, that bread. Did you get the bread?
No,
oh my goodness, the bread is amazing. And then also just trusting yourself. I don't think a lot of us trust ourselves enough. We'll put our trust into someone else.
Wait, can we talk about that? Why is it so easy to... I mean, when I say, and we give it up for free, give up
the
our
oh, sorry.
That too. But why is it so easy for us to give the power of what we believe and do to somebody that we don't even know, rather than trust the shit that comes out of our own head? We would rather be like, let me turn on the TV and see. And no shade, no tea to any news person or anything like that, but it's literally people that don't know how to make a decision or are able to accept and feel how they feel until they hear a third party say, like, now it's okay, as opposed to be like, this, I don't care what the world is saying, this is where I am about how I feel about this.
And the funny thing is, when you said that, like hearing you say that, when you react in that way, people don't like that. They get upset.
They do not.
Because I'm not gonna put it out there like specifically who it was, but you know, somebody was trying to get me a little riled up a little bit, and I was just like, okay, well, you can choose to do that. I'm not going to. Oh, well, what do you like? It upset them, and the fact that I was like, okay, well, you know, we can end this. I mean, you can end the conversation.
It's like I'll tell you. Look, I'll make it current. With you know, there's a. Even especially in the spiritual community, a big divide, even in the spiritual community, about when we start talking about politics. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people, you know, who believe that Trump was the best thing that ever happened.
He's a light worker
to us. That he's a light worker, and then there are some people that believe, you know, the complete opposite, and that Biden is what we need to move forward. And then there are those like me who's like, both of them can get some. No, it's just,
that's me.
Like real talk. It's just, what you come to is, no matter what I believe or think, who is right is wrong, which I don't want to make a judgment of that. Is it doesn't matter at the end of the day, when whoever is the president and whatever is happening, when I go to sleep and I wake up the next day, I am still me, and I still have my own special purpose and unique walk and path in this motherfucking world, just like everybody else. So I don't give too much weight to that, because no matter who or what or I believe, or whoever believes is right or wrong or whatever, there's going to be this or that, I'm still Mia.
Yeah.
And you are still Christie, and everybody. No, it does not matter.
Yeah.
There's nothing that anybody can do outside of you to make you be somebody else. Now, if you choose to change who you are and be somebody else, that's on you. But the actual factuals of it is, there's literally nothing they can do. Nothing. You still going to be you. Period.
Yeah.
So I don't give too much weight to it. I'm good. I understand the conversation. I think that civic engagement and knowledge and awareness of what's going on in the place that in the country that you live in is extremely important. But I also understand it has absolutely nothing, to do with who I am. Period. And that's how I look at it. So I can talk about it, but like you said, people will really get upset about it when you don't either have a hard line that you draw in the sand about it, or you don't agree with them. And I'm just like, I'm not about to go that hard in the paint over something that has nothing to do with me.
Right.
I'm not about to do it.
Yeah, I just noticed that people, when they believe that you should react in a way that's kind of dramatic and you don't, it's kind of upsets them.
It's jarring. Like, you're not disappointed? You're not mad? Like, what's going on with you?
Like, no.
No, not about that.
Nope. But I think also being true to yourself, And this has also been a message, not just for clients, but also for me, and just accepting yourself for who you truly are and stop hiding. Like when a friend of mine did the session over the weekend, she sent me a text, and she, it was a text of appreciation, like, thank you very much. It was a really great session. And she commented about, I guess, how great the session was, and she mentioned, like, it's a great thing that you've gotten to this point, or you're now open. And I said, yeah, it's taken me about 30 years to do that.
But no.
And it's true.
No, that's very true. It's so funny. And Christy knows this. Anytime I get a reading, it's so funny when I go to healers, because we talk about this all the time. Healers need healing too, and just like how you all need the spiritual validation and message, and like, okay, am I interpreting this right? We do too.
We need it too.
And every one is the same thing. Like, be okay with this. This is your life now, and I think that And I know that, not everybody's going with not everybody in their spiritual journey will get to a point where they're like, okay, this is my work now, this is my purpose. But people do get to a point where they can relate to the idea of, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That there's something else that that I'm not fulfilled. I'm not fulfilling my promise. And it could be changing careers. It could be in the relationship they're in. It could be people. I'm all type of stuff, like everything.
Yeah.
So everybody can relate to that. So when the interesting thing is when you finally get to the point where you're like, okay, this is not me. I'm playing myself right now. And you move forward in your own stuff and you start trusting yourself. Every time, 100% of the time, I will bet money. Every time when you get to that point, you think back and you're like, I fucking knew it. You can name times and points in your life where you knew and you acknowledged that something was in you that said, this is not right. And you pushed it back like, girl, you tripping right now. Go on someplace about your business. You got stuff to do. You have responsibilities. Every time. So think about it. Every time you have a revelation about who you are and what you believe you to be, and you get to that point and you look back over your life and you say, I knew it. That should allow you space to trust yourself, because you have a track record to go back on and be like, but I was right. I just didn't trust myself. If I had only trust myself, if I had only believed my own intuition, if I had only... So that should give you space. Like, let me stop being stupid. How many times do I have to hit myself over I haven't trusted myself. Hit myself over the head with that I finally say, let me try something different. Let me just trust myself. And that's honoring yourself. That's
hard.
That's love. It's so hard though, because especially when you're going against what everybody else is saying or doing or believing, and what your spirit is telling you is, yeah, I know everybody's walking to the right, but you need to go left. But no, but my friends are over there. Everybody's over there. Like I said, you need to go left, and then we go right. And it's like, why isn't everybody else falling in quicksand on this path? And they just move because you went the wrong way. You were supposed to go left. And so how many times do we have to do that before we say, you know what? Let me try it my way. And honestly...
Or the way that they've been telling me.
They've been telling me. But honestly, when I think about a win, lose, or draw at the end of the day, if I come out successful, or if I consider myself to be a grand failure, which, no, I love my life. I don't... But... One thing that I one regret that I never want to have when I get to the end of my days is I should have.
Absolutely.
Woo, baby.
Yeah.
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
Not what somebody else did, but why didn't you? Like, should have. Why didn't you?
No.
Like that I would rather be on the other end and be like,
I don't do that. And that's the reason why, I know that there are things that I know there are things that I've done that people question, like, I don't get it. Why would you do that?
But that's your life.
It is my life, but at the same time, I also don't want to live with regrets. And I know that I would be that person that'd be like, so what if I tried? Or what if I don't want to live like that?
anytime I think about being a 96-year-old, and I'm saying, all right, it's time to go.
I lived.
It's not only I lived. The idea of being in my last days and in this lifetime, in this body, and thinking and having some regrets about what I don't want that. I would much rather go with what feels good to me despite everybody else, and be like, yeah, even if it is a royal jackleg F up, I guarantee you I'll be laughing about that, on my end of days. Like, ooh, boy, I had a ball, as opposed to I played it so safe because I didn't want to offend the sentiment of anybody else, but I didn't choose me. No, ma'am.
Playing it safe is boring.
It's hella boring.
It's boring. But I was telling my daughter, like, if I were to die yesterday, I can say, honey, I have lived.
Mama good.
I have lived.
She's all right. Hey, when you plan my memorial, it's a party, baby. Mama, she's okay. But the real talk, I think another thing, and when you're loving on yourself and honoring yourself, and I think that is boundaries.
Yeah, that's self-love.
Okay, creating boundaries. And let's talk about this, y'all. Like, when we talk about boundaries, for real, boundaries energetically, clearly physical boundaries, emotional boundaries. If you have, real talk, if you have a friend or a family member, when you know that every time you talk to them, it's always a problem, somebody died, or this, it's just, it's a woe is me type of conversation all the time, and you're just like, I could be having a wonderful, beautiful day, feeling grateful about where I am in life, and then as soon as I talk to Katrina, I just made that up. Now I hate my life. Everything's terrible, and I'm questioning everything. You can set boundaries energetically, like, be honest with yourself the way that people affect your energy. If someone affects your energy and puts you down, it's okay to create a boundary. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you aware of who you are and the boundaries that you need for your emotional and spiritual health.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What you think, Christy?
No, and I'm so happy you said that, because I've had to create boundaries. I mean, I tell people I don't have a circle of friends. I have like a dot. But that is also intentionally, like, I can't be around a lot of people, and I don't trust a lot of people. But I think setting those boundaries, like, I've had friends who, it's like every time I talk to them, it's always just a pulling down of my soul.
Well, think about it though. If I could be compassionate towards that for a second.
But every single time you got something bad?
No.
Anything you have to say?
Dear girl, no. When I say being compassionate about it, I can understand, but also understand that I got to choose me first.
Right.
But I would say this.
Taking the calls.
Right. So the people always expose themselves. So if someone is always negative.
You've said that before.
It's like, if we shut the fuck up and just sit down and pay attention to what somebody is saying to us, and we look at their actions, we do stuff like, if their actions don't match their words, we're like, well, which one should we believe? No, that's because you're torn, because you want to believe what you know is not true. Right. So then you ask stupid ass questions like that. You believe what you know to be true. If someone says one thing and they do another, you're like, but he said this, but then he did this. How am I to know? You know. But you want the confusion because you don't want to believe what you know to be true. But
isn't that crazy how we
seriously
do that?
Why do we do
those
shit like
mind
that?
Games with ourselves?
We play mind games with ourselves, and again, this goes back to power, choice, and loving yourself. Like, and then also when you love yourself, you create these boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens is, when you love yourself and someone shows who they are or where they are in life, we don't make excuses for somebody else. We don't try to fit into their box and say, oh, but maybe we should try again because we love ourselves. When you love yourself, you can have compassion for, like, oh, I see where you are in your life right now. You don't know who you are. You don't fully love or trust yourself. And that's okay. But I love myself enough to know that don't have shit to do with me. And it is not my job to fix you or make you feel better about yourself. So I'm going to choose me and I'm going to go over here. But I can still love and respect and want you to be happy. But I will be damned if I lower me because I love myself. Period.
You guys might want to go back and rewind that and play it again.
Like real talk, because that's like for real. Like I just, and that's a healthy boundary. That's you choosing you, and this is the thing. It's not like it's not always going to be like, oh, I feel so great after this. Sometimes it's going to hurt so bad. But when you love yourself, the decision is easy. Like, yeah, I know this is going to hurt for now, but I love me. I know what I deserve. I know who I am. And I love me enough to know, like, you don't love yourself. And I'm not willing to start unloving me so that we can be on the same level.
Right. To make you feel better.
To make you feel better. I'm not about to unlove myself.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, so I can make you feel better. What I can do is show you what it feels like when I can show you how it is, how people move and act when they love themselves. That's about all I have to offer you. But me unloving myself that's not an option. We're not doing that.
No option.
It's not an option.
So I think another way of honoring yourself is forgiving yourself when you aren't being true or nice to yourself. And we've talked about this before. It is.
Like,
self-forgiveness is hard.
Oh my goodness.
It is hard. Like, it seems like it's easier to forgive the abusive boyfriend.
Yes.
Than to forgive yourself.
Yes.
For allowing the abusive boyfriend.
Yes.
Into your home.
Cheers. Which
makes absolutely no sense, but definitely the exercise and the act of forgiving yourself is huge.
Well, I would say this. Okay, think about it like this. And I think we talked about this when we were talking about forgiveness. In order to forgive yourself, you have to come to the realization that you did something effed up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part for people to admit.
Yeah,
like,
no one wants to take the blame.
Like, damn, I did have a choice. I could have. It's so, like, playing the victim, it's
so easier.
It's so
or pointing the finger
easier.
like, oh, well, the reason why I was in this situation is because it's hard.
Look what
you see what she did?
Right.
All this time.
And it's very easy to find people to validate and back you up. They'd be like, you're right. If I were you too, I would be a fucked up person too. But then when someone says, yeah, you're right, that was kind of jacked up. But you still have a choice in how you want to live your life.
Right.
Like, you terrible person. Look at this devil over here trying to make me be self-accountable.
Right. But a lot of people don't want to be self-accountable.
No, it's so much easier. But so that's why I think so many people have an issue or, there's a very a difficult time or a challenge for them to forgive themselves because in order to get to, I need to forgive myself.
It's like, oh, I did something wrong.
Bam. I have to get to the point where I may have played myself. I may
just
have
just a little bit.
I may have. I even though I believe myself to be a good person, I hurt somebody. That's woo. So the forgiveness of self that's why it's so difficult, because it's so easy to forgive somebody else because we are so freaking quick to tell somebody what they have done wrong and how they messed up. Yep. It's like, okay, I forgive you because that makes us feel better as a person.
I forgive you.
Because it's so easy to be like, you're a fuck up. I hate you. Oh my God, why don't you do that? It's like, fine, I forgive you. And then now we feel
what about, do you forgive yourself?
And like, all woke and enlightened and shit. Like, I'm such a forgiver. And then when it comes to yourself, you're like, what? What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Oh, okay. We're going with that now.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I definitely forgiving yourself. And I think we talked about this in the episode. That's part of the healing process. Mm-hmm. Another way of honoring yourself, and this is what I think. This is something that I thought, and I just decided to put this, to share this because this is for me. I think my self-discovery, really understanding my path, my spiritual journey, and tapping in and meditating and really peeling back the layers of like who I am and who I'm destined to become. As I'm living this life, I feel like I honored myself in that way.
So, okay. This is, to me, and this is why I talk about this, why I think self love and just choosing you, and what we're calling honoring thyself, is so important. Because I would say this: anybody who's listening to this podcast right now, knowing the type of topics that we talk about, and you know how we're going to hold ourselves and you accountable for your own life. If you're listening to this, I don't care what stage you are in your life. You might be thinking, I'm the most fucked up person ever.
Nope.
The fact that you are seeking out something to just like remind me who I am, bring me out of this, even when it seems like it's the most messed up, you still love yourself.
Yeah.
And the love that's in you, even if it's in a corner all by itself with its nose on punishment, put your nose in a corner. Even if love for self is with their nose in a corner, it's still there, and it's always there. And so and while its nose is in the corner, it's yelling like, but we love us. And so we start seeking things out. And that's why I think acknowledging, I don't care how big or how small or how grand or how diminished the self-love is, it is there.
Yeah.
And as soon as you acknowledge it and be like, hey, come, let me holler at you for a minute. So what's going on with this self-love stuff? Do we love ourselves? And you start asking the questions to get into who am I and discovering yourself. And it gives you that you start giving yourself room and space to grow. Like this box I put myself in is tight than a mug. Oh my God. I want out.
That also goes back to trusting yourself too.
Yes.
Because you can't get to that point unless you trust yourself. So these are all.
But to me, I say it starts with the love.
Yeah.
Like I love me. Where do I go from here? And when I think about the way that I talk about God or source or creator, like in terms of the original consciousness, and the way that I imagine in my little head when things outside of the original of the source came to be, it was an acknowledgement of, to me, I always see it as just like, it's just there, it's a void, and all of a sudden it's just like, wait a minute, I'm here. And that's why I think the words I am are so important, because it's literally an acknowledgement that I am here. I'm here, I'm something. And I think, and in my head, the way I imagine this and the way it comes to me when I meditate is, the next thought is, I love myself. What can I be? Who am I? What else could I do? And then everything else, the universe and all these other things come out, and eventually we came from that. But who we are as humans, we have that God energy in us, and we can say, who am I? And what do I need to be? But it comes from, wow, I'm here and I love me. And everything stems from that. When you acknowledge, I love me and I'm here and I chose to be here, like when I think about it, I think love is the basis for everything. But in terms of your journey in your life and recognizing who you are and taking those next steps in that spiritual journey, the self-love thing,
it's huge.
That's the foundation.
Huge. Yeah, it is. I would agree.
That's it. And just, you only need just a little, just to remember. It's because it's always there. I don't care if you are, whatever it is that you're doing in your life that you feel is self-punishing, like cutting yourself, or we were talking about this earlier. Chris and I were talking about this: eating disorders, drugs. I had a client that was, like people self-medicating. There's something in you when you start reaching out and saying, "Help." I need to see myself. I have questions. When you're reaching out, you're there. That's that part of you that's like, but wait. I know what's in front of me. I know that 99.9% of my world is really jacked up. But what is that little itty bitty piece of light in the corner over there? Because you can't see the darkness without light. You don't know what dark is without light, just like you don't know what light is without the darkness. When you acknowledge every piece of you is so freaking powerful, and this all stems from acknowledging I am and I love me. And that's how I describe when I think about God. When I think about the original, that's how I envision it. I'm sure, some might not think, oh my gosh, she's crazy, but real talk. And to me, when you think of it in that aspect, that's how you start to say, oh, I have God in me. oh, I get it. I do have the divinity in me.
Makes so
trying to
much
make
sense now.
a woman of color or somebody outside of the vision that we have of what God is supposed to be according to the paintings of Jesus and all the BS that they have out there. It's very hard for when you're telling somebody that God is in you and that's how they view God. It's so hard to be like, okay, this blonde haired, blue eyed man is not in me. Like, sis, what you talking about? It's very hard for them to understand. It's like, I can honor that is a being that is God-like, but I don't see that in me. But when you break it down to, it is literally the acknowledgement of I am, and let me see what I can be. We are just literally expressions of God's love for Himself. And I'm just saying Himself just for itself. Don't at me with this gender shit. I don't have time for that. When it's just an acknowledgement that I exist and let me see what else I can be. And that's what we all are. We are a manifestation of God's love for itself and its ability to express who I am and engage and experience the world that I created. And we're all little gods, and that's what we do every day of our life.
And that's something that I was telling, I was kind of sharing with a client of mine earlier today. And I think I shared this analogy with you. We talked about it during my angelic Reiki training, is that you have the sun and you have the shade, and the sun is the source. And with the shade being pulled down, even if the shade is open, there are slots of light that'll still come in. We each represent those slots of light, but we are still connected to that source. So we're not separate. We are still one. And so when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
That's true. That's
I like the analogy.
You did say that now. That's a great way to illustrate that. I just literally we all just like the slots and the shades, it is all coming from the same light. But through where they come in those slots, it looks different, but it plays out different, and how it shines is differently. But it's all from that light. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's interesting. There's a really nice list here.
She's like, so let me ask you a question. Me and my crazy questions.
They're good though. Make you think.
Because I want to illustrate this as much as possible, so I want to know what you think. So let's talk about how I'm asking questions based on how self-love plays a role in other parts of your life besides, your relationship or how you take care of yourself. So let's talk about how self-love or honoring yourself affects your career. So do you think, and this is a hard one, sorry, do you think that when you chose your normie career, because really her career is a spiritual healer, but she, like me, we fought that for a very long time.
Very long time.
When you look back, because we do have these moments where we can't help it, but we made the best decisions for us at that time. But when you look back and knowing who you are now, do you think you would have chosen the same career? In the same way that you're doing it? If there's anything different, what would you have done different?
I probably would have learned to accept myself and love myself sooner.
But how would that have affected what career you chose?
Like my 9-to-5 career?
Yes, your normie career.
I don't know. I mean,
would you have gone to med school like you wanted to?
I probably would have gone to med school. Yeah, before I had kids. I probably would have.
See, I think that, so, and again, projecting and hindsighting and all that stuff, I think that when we love ourselves, or like really truly honor ourselves on what's in our hearts, when we want to do something that we're like, no, this is just who I am because I know who I am, no matter what but people say like, oh, you should have done it at this time, or it's too late, or you should do it before kids, or you can't have kids, or just we'll do it anyway. Because because when you love yourself, you understand that hey Bob, thank you for your opinion, your expertise, and I'm sure that whatever it is bullshit that's coming at your ass works for you, but I'm me and I'm making a decision based on me. Yeah, I hear you that nobody does it that way and it's never happened before, but there's so many things that never happened before that are now commonplace. So me and me are going to have a conversation, and whatever comes out of that and what works for me, I'm going to do. But it takes an immense amount of trust and love for yourself, and knowing that I'm a little God walking around here. All I am is a manifestation of the Creator's light walking around for you to be okay with doing that.
Yep. I talk about that source of light.
Real talk.
We are pieces of that source.
But if you're not there yet, that's. So I think that something like that just affecting your career, and I think it very clearly affects relationships. And we're talking about romantic relationships, who you choose or accept as a mate in your life. I think that when you are fully aware of yourself, when you love yourself, there's never a rush or like I have to be with this person, I gotta lock this person down, or blah blah blah, whatever it is that that people think. There's never that, because you know that I'm matched. This is who I am, and so I don't want anything that doesn't just come up to me like a magnet, like, oh, hey, this works. But when we're putting ourselves out there with our little peacock feathers and peacocking, and like, look at my booty,
right? Look at me,
look at my booty. Look how I shake it. I'm smart.
She's over here in her chair, shaking.
I'm smart. I'm good. I'm awesome. I make a lot of money. When we love ourselves, we know that we don't have to walk around with our resume on our face and our body and be naked, because you could just be. Because me just being knows how dope I am, and what comes to me is for me.
Yes. And again, everyone else feels it too.
And everybody else feels it too.
Okay.
Now if you just that is and that's not, and I'm not, that's not a judgment like, oh, women who, I was just being funny, but if who you naturally are is a naked, very sexy person, then you will attract someone who can handle that and who can vibe with that. If you are naturally a quiet and reserved person, but you feel like I have to be more expressive and sexy and outward with it, when you love yourself, you're like, this is just who I am, and I know it's somebody that matches me at me, because trying to live a life being somebody else. Fuck, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's too much. Like, it's tiring, and then you get to the point where you don't even know that you're not yourself anymore, because you done played the role so doggone well. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
All right.
A couple more things. Like, don't compare yourself to other people.
Cheers.
I think that's a good thing.
Stay off the goddamn social media.
Right. Because, again, people can show themselves to be in a certain light when they're living in the dark on the floor.
But you don't know what people got going on. Again, that's why you should, your power of choice and honoring yourself in the way that you live your life. Real talk. Sorry, continue, Christy.
But there is this quote that I saw that I really liked, and it says, think of life as a race, and you're running only against yourself. Life isn't about winning the race. It's about enjoying the run. It's about living a fulfilling and meaningful life. I think another way of honoring yourself is embracing and learning from your mistakes, showing and living in gratitude. And I think you talked about that earlier.
Okay. But for real, living in gratitude,
huge. It's huge.
Man, I feel like we say everything's huge because it's almost like it's that statement, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff, and then it's like, pay attention to all the big stuff, and everything's big. Like, that's kind of how I feel, especially when we're talking about your spiritual journey and getting to know yourself. But I will say that living in gratitude and just and again, I hate saying these words, but I feel like people are just so like, ooh. So let me be real clear. being thankful for what the hell you have at this moment is so freaking powerful. And again, it does not matter if you're like, oh my goodness, I have a Range Rover from 2017. It's piss poor. This is piss poor. I need the new one. But there's something about the law of attraction when you are that you ignite when you are in the moment. And again, I'll say this again because I've said this before. Being grateful for where you are and what you have does not mean that you don't desire more. That is not what that means. That doesn't mean that you're giving up or saying, this is the only thing that's for me, so let me just be grateful for this. No, we didn't say grovel.
That's
what we're saying is thank you. We're just saying, like, be grateful for where you are, not because you don't deserve more or that you can't get more. Right. It's because when you are grateful and have gratitude and thankful for where you are, as you're working towards what you want, it attracts it because your energy is so good. If you're sitting up there putting out, I hate this place I'm in, I'm supposed to be here, I need to do this, and you're working on, all you're doing is delaying it. But when you're like, man, I'm a beast out here. Woo, look where I am. Look what I got. I got 2,000 square feet as I'm designing my 5,000 square foot house. But every piece of a square foot that I have, you know what I mean? Like, it's just when you're grateful for it and you take care of it and you love on it and you nourish and like all you're doing is nourishing your vision.
I love that word, nourish.
It is like you're just nourishing your own dang on vision. It's not settling. No. It's not saying I give up. It's saying, man, look what I've done, and whoever created this, I'm still here, and I still got more to go. That's what that means.
It's time for us to nourish ourselves. Yes, though. And I think that's
moisturize your mind.
I don't know if you want to moisturize your mind.
Moisturize your mind.
But you definitely okay. So what's your takeaway from all of this?
Okay,
as we transition.
Yes. Moisturize your mind. Good transition. Can we put that in our intro? Moisturize your mind.
How do we do that?
Lift your conscience.
How does one moisturize the mind?
What the brain?
I'm sorry, I can't right now. My brain's too moisturized. I need to let it dry out a little bit.
Wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm so nasty. All the things that are popping in my head. Oh, head. Oh, gee. Okay. Wait, what are we talking about? My takeaway. Okay.
Talk about the takeaway.
I think, the major takeaway for me is making decisions. When you are making decisions from a place where you love yourself first, it affects everything in your life. When you are at a place where it doesn't matter what the decision is or what you're doing. When you're coming from a place of love instead of lack.
Yep.
Your life won't be whack.
She got bars.
Bars. But for real, when you're making decisions from a place of love instead of lack, it significantly affects the way that you are living. What's your takeaway, Christy?
My takeaway is to honor yourself in everything that you do. Ooh. It shouldn't just be, I'm going to honor myself on Saturday. I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to give myself a facial. I'm going to, drink tea by the fireplace. No, honor yourself in everything you do.
Talking about me? Like, are you
no, that would be watching the Hallmark's channel.
Are you talking about how I look during the week? Wow.
Drinking your gourmet hot cocoa.
Like, are you talking about how I look during the week? Okay, right.
No, but I think
my homegirl. Wow. Okay.
No, but honor yourself in all you do, and it is a selfless act. It's a selfless act that you're doing for yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody else but you. So
nobody else.
All right. So what do we have for today's temple work?
A clue. What I could do. Okay, sorry. That's that little Summer Walker song, girl. You need to listen to this.
I like Summer Walker.
I do, too.
I like her.
No, she's an empath. Summer's awesome. That girl, you can't tell me that. She has something.
She is.
Her and my girl, Aiko. Janae Aiko.
Oh, yeah.
Both
of
absolutely. Them, I'm like, light workers.
Yeah, Summer started studying.
Definitely. She
Egyptian. Definitely
sees stuff. She's definitely an empath. And Janae Aiko, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, and she's a Pisces, too. And she's just, I'm like, that one right there. She has to be if I was to, like, she's a Pisces, I would have guessed that her rising is a water sign too. Like, you listen to the stuff that this woman says, and you know how she's so into spirit. Like, when you are at a certain point in your journey and you start hearing things again, and you're like, oh, look, these.
She been woke.
She was telling us. For real,
I
y'all.
listened to her in a podcast in some episode, and she was talking about some stuff, and I was like, oh, this.
You're like, oh. So, you know, her last album, Chilumbo, I think it. Don't y'all.
When she used the crystal ball,
when she used the crystal bowls and all of the
both.
and all of the and all of her songs, I was, and when you know what crystal bowls sound, you definitely did.
That's what, actually, when I found that out, that's what changed things for me with her. Because I was just like, oh, she's just one of those little artists.
Girl, no, I've been listening to it. This little girl been, and I don't mean to, when I say little girl, just because she's significantly younger than we are. But I'm not playing her like she's a little girl.
Is little.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not playing her like, oh, this little baby. I mean that in an endearing way, that the wisdom that this girl has at the age that she is at, she's been on it.
Yeah.
So,
and she talked about that.
Yeah, like, it's real talk. So I let me think about the lesson for today.
Okay.
So our temple work for the day. So we're gonna get back in our books, you guys. It's January, and actually, this will. So tomorrow is the new moon.
Yes, tomorrow.
The 28th. 1 second. Tomorrow is the new moon, and so we are the 28th. So this will go live on the 29th, which is that Friday. Mm-hmm. So you guys, so that's manifestation time, and it's a moon in Leo, I believe. And so what I want you to do for temple work, as soon as you listen to this, and hopefully it's within the next 3 days of the full moon, it's just time to set intentions for what you are trying to manifest in your life and what you want to learn about yourself. But I want us to be specific in this manifestation. At least one of these intentions should be how it is that you're going to honor yourself this year in a way that you never have before.
I like that.
So,
I like
full
that.
moon, get out your journals, ladies. It's time to set these intentions, and I want you to set intention how you're going to love yourself the way that you never have before, and honor yourself in your decisions. All right, what's our crystal of the week?
I love that. Okay, so this week's featured crystal is ocean jasper. Ocean jasper, it's an earth element, and it's solar plexus. It's good for the solar plexus, heart, and the throat chakra. And so a brief description of the crystal is that, so ocean jasper is a member of the quartz family, and it's a stone of joy and high spirits. And it opens one's awareness to the benevolent aspects of life and lifts one's mood through its positive vibrations. And so this particular stone helps to lift the veil of negativity. I really like this part that I read that moved me. It lifts the veil of negativity which many people unconsciously wear over their eyes. And when this veil is lifted, it's much easier to see and appreciate the many blessings of life. We just talked about gratitude. We talked about living in gratitude. We talked about constantly being in a space of gratitude, and so that is huge. That's why this crystal is so amazing. The Mohs hardness for this ocean jasper ranges from 6.5 to 7, so it is okay to put in water, but I would just check to make sure that there are no toxins in that. So spiritual properties of ocean jasper is that it's helpful for those who may suffer from depression. It has a capacity to be able to gently bring your focus on the positive. So when we're thinking negatively, you carry it. And it'll help you just start to slowly and gently just move it to the positive. And the positive vibrations are amplified and spread through one's energy field to everyone nearby. Carrying ocean jasper, or even putting it in your bra in the workplace. And I'm actually thinking of a really good friend of mine because her workplace is a little stressful. But carrying ocean jasper in the workplace can help create a cooperative atmosphere, but it's also great to have in any healing space. And I just ordered some, making the room relaxing and filled with good vibes. And so you guys know how I meditate. Honestly, I've never used ocean jasper before. I've seen it, but I've never used it, and I told you I just ordered some.
Ocean jasper is I feel this is funny. I think ocean jasper is one of the first stones I realized that jasper comes in so many different colors, and it's a really beautiful rock. I haven't used it for meditation for personal work.
Oh, you have it?
But I have. Yeah, I actually do.
I think I might want to take a picture of it.
Okay. I do have so much, but I have used it in healing sessions, and it's interesting because most of the time, I really think about it, it's probably a handful of times where I've been directed to use ocean jasper for someone's. Usually, I like lapis and like a blue fluoride or something like aquamarine or something.
I like sodalite.
Yeah, you do like the sodalite. I haven't used sodalite that much, but so I would tell you every time I've been, so it's so interesting that this is the crystal that you chose for me because it's so appropriate. Every time I've been directed to use ocean jasper in a healing session for someone, it is because they have a lot of negative self-talk. The way they talk about themselves. So it's so funny that when I was sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the consistent theme. Like, a lot of times, when we're doing throat chakra work, it's like, express yourself or speak your truth. For ocean jasper, whenever I've been directed to use that, it's specifically because their I am speech is so...
That is so funny. And you guys, let me just tell you. So, she didn't know that I selected Ocean Jasper until just now. And, yeah, because we don't really talk about this sometimes until
it's time to do it.
So, the fact that we are on the same line, to me, I think it is further confirmation.
And then, and because it helps with depression.
Yeah.
And, for us in the Northern Hemisphere, in the United States here, we're in winter, especially here in Chicago where we are.
Child, get me out.
This time of year, people are really suffering, from anxiety and depression. If you already are suffering from depression, it's heightened because of, it's colder, the days are shorter, it's dark, so there can be a whole week where we don't see the sunshine. Yep. So this is a great stone. So I'm like, this is really right on time because this is a stone that will help to elevate your energy, especially if you're dealing with some seasonal depression.
I love that. I love how spirit works.
Always on time.
Works. Yeah.
Always on your mind. Be there when you call. Oh, girl, my ex has
I know.
Motherfucker. Oh my goodness, you trying to say you're the coldest have forever.